Asian Pacific Americans are very unique as a community because they're diversified in terms of language, in terms of religion, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of race. Diversity is a great word and it's a great idea, but at the same time, if you don't manage this community, if you don't work effectively within this community, diversified can easily mean divided.
Contrary to popular stereotypes, Asian American children and families face a lot of issues. Over 50% of Asian American children are born into poverty. 1 out of every 3 do not graduate from high school. And what's more, Asian American children face a great deal of harassment and bullying at school.
I think the problem was that I was an immigrant and also an Asian that couldn't speak English well, so they were attacking me, and because of my culture, so they were making fun. I was beaten, and I was really feared to go to school because of how kids act different with me.
To ask someone who runs after school programs every day, who runs ESL programs, to parents or who run daycare programs, to go out and then learn the ropes of City Hall and understand what's going on there so that you could effect changes in that direction is just nearly impossible. You need to have someone who will be there as a voice.
CACF was founded in 1986 by a group of proactive service providers who were working in New York City. They started to see that more and more Asian Americans were coming to the city, that the population was growing, but there weren't services available to meet the needs of that population.
What was amazing, back in the 80s, is that there was no Asian American voice, no one representing Asian Americans, and this was at a time when the Asian American population was exploding.
The Coalition for Asian American Children and Families is the nation's only Pan-Asian children's advocacy organization. We ensure that children of all Asian Pacific American backgrounds have an equal opportunity to grow up healthy and safe. And that's why we use 3 strategies to accomplish our mission.
As a researcher who focuses on health disparities among racial and ethnic minorities, CACF's research is significant in that there is very little documentation on the needs of Asian Pacific American children and families. And the wonderful thing is that CACF actually takes more of an action role in this, and that they don't do research for research's sake. CACF really sees research as a tool to mobilize communities so that ultimately we can work together to build better schools, better hospitals, and ultimately a better quality of life for all children and families in New York City.
Statistics that the coalition had gathered, this was research that had never been done before. It was quite surprising to hear some of the problems that were facing Asian Americans. I decided as a reporter that these were great stories to tell, and it really just surprised a lot of people. And I think for New York viewers, it was the first time that they could see Asian Americans in a more three-dimensional way.
CACF promotes youth leadership because they believe in the next generation of leaders and training them. We're going to need future leaders who are at the policy table, helping to influence policy and be part of that policy-making process. In their youth leadership program, they train them on advocacy skills, how does government work, how to do research, how to frame your argument. And what's also exciting about CACF's youth leadership program is that there are youth from different Asian ethnicities who are coming together to work on this, and as a result, they're helping to form the Pan-Asian movement.
As a young person, as a teenager, your voice is not heard as much as you would want it to be. CACF was able to bring together so many different teenagers and got them to talk about their problems, talk about what they faced in high school, got them involved in it, got them to make differences, got them to be the advocate instead of having someone else speak for them. And I think that was really important so that we have the voice, not someone else talking for us.
As a fellow advocate, I believe that it's important to have an organization like CACF because they are dedicated to looking at policy issues as it affects Asian American children and families.
As a direct service provider, South Asian Youth Action, my organization, we do our best to address the everyday needs of young people. But it's also critical that we influence policy to create a lasting change for our community. And this is where CACF comes in.
At the end of the day, if you're not sitting at the policy-making table, you're not going to have a say in what happens to your community. CACF isn't around, then we don't have that voice at the policy-making table. We don't have an opportunity to present our views, and therefore we're much less likely to have policy, whether it's with regard to language access, or whether it's with regard to bullying in school, or whether it's regard to healthcare access. And it's been wonderful to have CACF as a partner to stand with us as we work to make sure that our schools are a place for all our children.
Our vision for Asian Pacific American children and families is that they are not invisible, that we are a united voice. We want to make sure that when policies are created, that when services are delivered, and that when funding is allocated, the Asian Pacific American community is explicitly kept in mind. CACF is well positioned to accomplish this because of our dynamic staff, our supportive board and action council, and because of our partnerships and collaborations throughout the city, the state, and the nation. As the Asian Pacific American community continues to grow, CACF will rise to the challenge to ensure that the voice of our community is heard.